Welcome to the Arrington Gavin Show. Real talk, big opinions, and fearless conversations. From the front lines of politics to the latest in pop culture. From breaking sports headlines to the stories that move the world. Nothing's off limits, and nobody's holding back. Arrington Gavin is here to break it down, build it up, and keep it all the way real. So turn it up, lean in, and let's get into it. This is the Arrington Gavin Show.
What is happening, my friends? Welcome to another great episode of the Arrington Gavin Show, your go-to spot for sharp insights, bold opinions, and unfiltered takes on the biggest stories of the day. Whether it's politics, sports, pop culture, or the latest buzz, look, we're diving deep and keeping it real. So please do me a favor, kick back, stay informed, and get ready to join the conversation. My friends, on today's conversation, I'm honored to have New Orleans Councilman Mr. Oliver Thomas. He represents District E. He's currently running to be the next mayor of the great city of New Orleans. And I'm honored again to have a conversation with him and for him to take the time out of his busy schedule to discuss more about his campaign and some of the issues happening in the city of New Orleans. But before we move forward to that, as always, my friends, thank you so much for taking 1 hour of your time to tune in to your boy, your friend here on the Arrington Gavin Show. For those who happen to be watching us on our YouTube channel, do me a favor. As we always like to say, look, share, subscribe, like, please share with friends, share with family. We want to keep that momentum going. We grow each and every day in our subscribers as well as our viewerships, and we want to keep that momentum, but we cannot do it without you all. So let's keep that going, keep that mission of great conversation going as well. So yes, the Arrington Gavin Show YouTube channel, you can subscribe to that, but you can also stream us on Goatverse TV. That's right, Goatverse TV. You can download the app. It's available in the App Store, Google Play Store, Roku, as well as Amazon Fire TV. And then if you prefer to listen to us, well, that's very simple as well. You can listen to us wherever you get your podcasts. We're available on all major podcast platforms. And then you can also listen to us in one of our two radio affiliates. Shout out to our family in New Orleans. WBOK 1230 a.m. What New Orleans is talking about. You can tune into the Arrington Gavin Show weeknights at 7 p.m. Central Time. Again, only on WBOK 1230 a.m. And then also we want to move it on to the Metro Atlanta region to WDJY 99.1 FM Straight Talk. That's right, WDJY 99.1 FM. You can tune into the Arrington Gavin Show weeknights at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So multiple ways, my friends, multiple ways you can tune into the Arrington Gavin Show, and we want to keep that momentum going. Of course, you can follow us on all of our social media platforms that we are on, like Instagram, Blue Sky, X, as well as our Substack page, all under the same name, the Arrington Gavin Show. What else do we have going on here? I think that's about it. So look, my friends, you are in for a treat. Prior to this will be our second candidate who is running for mayor of the city of New Orleans. You know, a while back we had the opportunity to bring on a gentleman, Ricky Twiggs, and he shared his reasons for running and all the issues happening within the city. And now we're honored to have on a gentleman who has served the community for quite some years and has a great track record as well. So again, I'm thrilled to have Councilman Oliver Thomas on with us this evening. But before we move forward and before we head to a commercial break, you know, we always love to do a fun fact here on the Arrington Gavin Show. So on today's fun fact, did you know, in honor of our guest, Councilman Oliver Thomas, did you all know that Councilman Thomas is a fan favorite of the outdoors? He is a true nature boy, and I'm not talking about Ric Flair, not that no Ric Flair. I'm talking about nature boy. When it comes to camping, when it comes to fishing, when anything outdoors, he loves it. That's what he loves. And it's interesting because he is a born and raised New Orleanian. All right, and it's funny because I'm also pretty city at heart. Now y'all know my home turf is Virginia, but I have a lot of family that comes from the New York area, so I was always a city kid at heart. And if they ask me, Arrington, you want to do some camping, you want to do some outdoors, I'm going to say, hell no, don't give me outdoors. Look, give me all the bug spray repellent. You're going to see me struggling, trying to put up a tent and all that stuff. I'm that guy. So it's interesting I'm a city kid at heart, and I'm speaking with a city kid, and he said, "No, I love the outdoors." And I mean, hey, let's just be honest. Nature, the world that God created, it is beautiful. So I can understand why, why he can, why that's a favorite thing he loves to do. And it's very calming too, especially when you're a man on the move. I tell y'all all the time, being an entrepreneur, it takes a lot out of you, right? It takes a lot out of you, and you always need that time to decompress. And sometimes just those walks, that just you and nature is peaceful, man. And also it's good taking care of your body too, going outside, exercising, all that good stuff. So look, that is our fun fact of the day, my friends. What we're going to do right now, we're going to head to a commercial break. Look, do not go anywhere. As I mentioned earlier, you're in treat for a great conversation with Councilman Thomas, who is also currently a candidate for mayor, running for mayor for the city of New Orleans. So look, my friend, do not go anywhere. You're listening to the Arrington Gavin Show. We'll be right back after these commercial breaks.
Every man has a story to tell. Your ambitions, your achievements, your legacy. Your suit should reflect that story, crafted precisely, designed for impact, and tailored exclusively for you. We work with only the finest fabrics, luxurious wools, silk, linen, and blends from world-renowned mills in Italy, the UK, and India. These fabrics are the foundation of custom suits that exude elegance and stand the test of time. But a suit isn't just about fabric, it's about fit, and it's about confidence, and it all starts with you. When you work with me, you'll receive a personalized consultation, whether in person or over Zoom. Together, we'll explore your vision and discuss your needs. And we're going to bring your ideas to life. My journey as a designer includes apprenticing under New York-based designer Clavon Leonard, showcasing collections at New York Fashion Week, Algeria Fashion Week, and the prestigious Baltimore Met Gala. That experience is what we bring to every suit we create, from weddings to corporate events and everything in between. We specialize in crafting one-of-a-kind suits for life's most significant moments. Dapper Luke has been recognized as one of Baltimore's best menswear in 2023, and I was honored to be one of the 10 designers selected for the prestigious Baltimore Met Gala. With over 900 satisfied clients, we proudly serve Virginia Beach and Baltimore, bringing world-class designs to these incredible communities. We don't just make suits, we craft confidence. Your suit will fit your body, your style, and it will tell your story. Book your free online personal consultation today. Visit www.dapperluke.com.
Order your beard care products with Rugged Evolution. We're your local beard care line that supports the maintenance of your full, mature beard. Our line includes conditioning shampoos, moisturizers, balms, oils, shaving lotions, and exfoliating soaps. These products moisturize, hydrate, nourish, and have all the natural ingredients for a healthy beard. Log on to our website or download our app to place your orders. Become a man of distinction with Rugged Evolution Beard Care. And remember,
rugged is the new smooth.
And we still in traffic.
Don't look familiar, do I? Not in this seat.
Hey, what's that you listening to?
Here to host today.
Hey, turn it up.
With me?
Yeah, this that new Gold Verse app. I got you.
So y'all want to know where the goats are? They're off on the sidelines.
Looking for fresh, relevant content wherever you go?
What was the name of that he said?
Introducing GoatVerse TV.
GoatVerse, that's what it's called.
The free streaming app that brings you the best podcasts, current events, and thought-provoking opinions all in one place. Download it now from the Apple Store or Play Store. In Goats, we trust.
All right, my friends, welcome back to the show. Welcome back. I'm your host and friend, Arrington Gavin here. As I mentioned earlier, honored to have a special guest, Councilman Oliver Thomas of New Orleans, who is currently running to be the next mayor of the great city of New Orleans. But you know what? In this packed race, he is, for one, no stranger to New Orleans politics, right? He's been involved in politics, at least for the city of New Orleans, since it started off in 1994 when he was elected to be the next council member for District B. He was then reelected with a 90% of the vote share. And after serving 2 terms, he was elected as city council member at large in 2002, and reelected in 2006. Now, fast forward, he was elected for District E in 2021, and he's currently now pursuing to run for a city that works for all people, for everyone. And I'm honored to have him on. Without further ado, let me go bring on our special guest, Councilman Oliver Thomas. Councilman, how you doing, sir?
Man, AG, if I was any better, I'd be you. And everybody can't be that good, man. Look, first of all, man, I really love the commercial. We don't just craft suits, we craft confidence, man. I love some of the stuff that I saw, man. Absolutely. Thank you for highlighting Black excellence, man, and Black craftsmen. It was good to watch. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, hey, look, we're big when it comes to Black excellence. We're supporting Black businesses, Black owned businesses, media, you name it. I mean, that should be a mission for for everyone in the Black community to continue to support each other. I always say we can't be enemies. We win in numbers. So we got to keep that momentum going. But Councilman, again, I'm honored to have you on. You are currently running to be the next mayor of New Orleans. For those who might not be too familiar with you, if you don't mind just giving us a small brief background about yourself and really what led for you to be a servant for New Orleans.
Well, I'm born and raised in Lower Ninth Ward of New Orleans, public school, Lawless Clark. Went to college at Wisconsin Parkside, finished at the College of Santa Fe. Played basketball in college, played in the summer leagues in Los Angeles when I was in school in New Mexico. Went to work in Boston and New York for one of the largest charter travel services in the world, International Weekends, and played with the Boston Titans 2 years in the outdoor summer pro league. And came back home, did what I really thought I wasn't going to do at the time that I did it, and started volunteering politically. Now, know that politics wasn't something that I saw. It wasn't something that I actually wanted to do. But once I started volunteering and meeting people and influential people like Jim Singleton, Ken Carter, and others, I saw that, it's you can complain from the outside, or you can really take a look at the people who make stuff work or don't work, and find your way and figure out how you can be part of a system, especially to benefit your community or your people. And I developed a reputation for mentoring, won some national awards for turning kids around, and an opening came up, and I ran. I was 2% in the polls, and I won.
Wow. That's amazing for one. But I mean, one thing I will say, there's so many, not so many individuals, but I always would say for folks that run for office, you see an issue, you see something that is not being dealt with, and you're like, okay, look, let me take this leap of faith and pursue to fight for. Like, I just want to ask, if someone asks you, what does New Orleans, when they say, what's your take on New Orleans? What is New Orleans? What do you think about New Orleans? How can you describe the city of New Orleans? I'll say it like that. How can you describe the city of New Orleans?
We're the most Afro-Caribbean city in America, even with all our light-skinned people, right? Our culture, what we eat, our food, our rhythms, our dance. First time I went to Africa, I saw the same cadence and beats, right? From the tribes that performed for us. Our food, our diet, our traditions, our culture. It's one of the richest and most traditional in America. It's easy to see why this little glorious, grimy city holds above its weight for so many visitors. And before COVID, we were looking at 20 million visitors to this city, man. And
wow.
We're a special place. We're also a hard knock place. The underbelly here, similar to Baltimore, other parts, Southside Chicago, other cities, but our culture, our music, our traditions, we don't have to take a backseat to anybody in the world.
Understand. Now, I've mentioned earlier, you serve the city of New Orleans on for many years in different districts, in district E you're currently in, I believe I mentioned was it District B as well, and then
District B and at large.
And then at large.
I'm not, Only
Continue.
person in the history of the city to serve. Only person in the history of the city to serve 3 positions on the city council.
Wow. Now, what inspired you to take the next step to run for mayor? Because you're currently in in office. It's a team effort. So you're front and center of kind of like how the city is being run. What made you say, okay, look, I think it's time. I take that leap of faith and pursue running to really truly help my city. What was that for you like?
Well, great question, Gavin. It was my theme, a city that works. I wanted to use my institutional knowledge, my work ethic, my ability to get people together in spite of themselves. I saw the city when it worked at its best. There were times in the past when the city didn't seem to struggle to deliver basic services. Now I see a city that struggles to deliver basic services with 10 times the budget. I didn't understand that. And I want to be part of the new renaissance of building the new table of a city that works for everyone. People ask me, well, how can I get a seat at the table? Well, no, if you build the new table, your place is guaranteed. You don't have to ask for a seat from the political class or the business class. Also, Gavin, I wanted to flip the social order. My time out of politics. Now, I was out of politics for 14 years before I ran again. But I saw where the social order had changed, and it was politics, business, and people were last. Everything I know when it works best, it's people first, business and politics as a supporting entity. That's my desire and my drive for a city that works, to make sure that our people are our stars. We have expanding business opportunities, and the elected officials are just there to support their endeavors.
No, I hear you on that, because for what I'm noticing is we're in a climate now, Councilman, where there is a lot of voters, residents that are fed up, right? They feel as though that they have questions that are never being answered. They feel as though there were promises that were supposed to be made but never met. And then on top of that, it's a mistrust. There's no trust factor between your some of the elected officials and members of the community, and it really irritates a lot of voters, a lot of residents. You can say it, it causes them to say, you know what, I think I want to leave. I don't think I want to be a part of this, this city anymore. And that's, that doesn't help build a community, because like you mentioned earlier, there's so much richness in the city of New Orleans, and you have so many, complications. And I'm glad you had mentioned, within that 14-year period, you've noticed that there was a period where it was the business first and the policy and the people last. Like why do you think so? Why does that exist in our time right now?
Well, first of all, Gavin, real great and profound point. People at every level seem to have lost faith in government and trust. It's almost like when you talk to people, it's taxation without representation. But the saddest thing is that, and this is what I want to stop, man. They're getting to the point where they don't even expect anything from municipal, state, or federal government. And when you talk about the birth of a nation, when you lead to that could be the death of a nation. When people feel like they're operating outside of the democracy, outside of their citizenship, but they're still paying. That was the collapse of 17th century France, right? Wow. That was the collapse of many empires, that people felt like they weren't a part of it. People feel like they don't, their civic participation is not only wanted, but that in many cases, government stands in the way. I wrote a piece years ago, and in it, I wrote a line that at some point, people were so frustrated that at some point they would need a passport just to get to DC. Well, people feel the same way about state houses and town halls now too. And I want to help restore their confidence.
I couldn't agree more with that piece, as far as having that easygoing communication between community and what issues are happening in the city, right? You mentioned earlier there's basically there's issues happening within the city that should have never happened when it comes to infrastructure, right? Potholes, flooding, safety. I know I want to tackle some of those issues in regards to your campaign and how you would solve some of that. But I'm curious to ask too, Councilman, has the campaign season currently been a bit difficult just by, again, I go back to the trust factor with the people after recently, in this public information, it was a recent it was public news that there was an indictment brought on the current mayor. And so this is not the first time this had happened to a sitting mayor in the city. The people are watching this 24/7, and I go back to that trust factor. Has it been difficult? I'm sorry. Has it been difficult for you as far as or a dark cloud has been over council? I'm sorry.
It's the first time it's happened to a sitting mayor. And of course, my life is an open book. I went through my trials and errors and came back and earned the right to come back too, and grew immeasurably because of it. But of course, people, the distrust that people have in government at every level, whenever you have an incident like that, it makes them more skeptical. It allows the conspiracy theorists as well as the people who witness, in many cases, those things that shouldn't happen, and how government is handled misappropriately, right? Or not in the best interest of the people. It makes it more difficult. But for me, that's part of the challenge for me. When I was knocked down, I got back up. And I want to be an example to show people that, man, when something bad happens in your life, that's an opportunity to make your life better. When something bad happens to our city, that's an opportunity to work together to make our city better. And I can't do it alone. I need the citizens to build that table with me and put up a chair and all of us work together. Look, we're going to need all hands on deck moving forward, not just some political whiz falling out of the sky. The second coming is not going to come here and wave a magic wand or say a prayer and change the direction of the challenges and fill the potholes and make them pick up your trash on time and have the police show up, have the 911 callers answer the call on time. That's going to be work.
Absolutely.
That's going to be accountability. That's going to be Oliver Thomas.
I hear you on that one. And I want to speak on one more thing before we get going with your campaign and tackling some of these issues happening in the city of New Orleans. There was a recent forum that happened, the Lakefront Airport Forum, and one of your colleagues who's currently running, Helena Moreno, was accusing you and the Senator Duplessis of kind of teaming up against her. I mean, again, it's a election for a reason. You're each trying to go for the win. Any response or anything you would like to respond on that one, Councilman?
Well, my response there that people are still talking about is that there are no victims sitting up here. So neither of us, and I don't know why Senator Duplessis and I can't be friends and get along. We're civil with her. We're all challenging, but when you've lived a life of having it your way, and especially when you believe in our community that it's so easy to divide us, get us to go against each other, what Senator Duplessis and I are proving is that we can compete, but we don't have to destroy or hurt each other. And I think we ought to be lauded for that, especially given the images of Black men, the way in our community, the way they like to pit us against each other. I am mindful that I respect that brother, I honor that brother, and I want to beat him, but I don't want to do anything to hurt him or to destroy him. But you don't have to do that when you compete. I'm a former athlete, man, and whoever won at the end of the game, we lined up and we shook hands. And so
that's right.
She may be used to having her way and maybe used to using her resources to pit folk against each other, but not in this case, not with me anyway.
No, I couldn't agree on that point, Councilman, because I think we all noticed in the past, and I always bring the past presidential election, there was definitely trying to separate black men against each other, right? When it came to which candidate to choose from and stuff, and it was disgusting at best. And all I can say is, y'all, you see what's happening right now. You see what the state of the nation is happening right now. But I want to,
Arrington, no, I just didn't want to, because the plight of black men right now is real serious, right?
Yes,
the
sir.
CNBC report in February 2024 said black men and boys are missing from the nation's economy. If we're missing from the economy, then where are we, right? And I'll never forget, I gave a talk, unfortunately, after President Obama kind of chided black men and told us about ourselves, because allegedly not enough of us were going to vote for Kamala. 90% of us voted for Kamala. That's a pretty good,
it's a large number.
Nobody chastised the pollsters who said that the majority of white women and suburban women were going to vote for Kamala. Then when they went in the booth, they didn't. No one chastised Hispanics for upping 20 plus percentage points or more in their vote. So 90% of us voted for Kamala. And I think we have to be mindful of that, right? That from the middle passages to now, from, post constitutional conventions and Emancipation Proclamation, it has always been easy to chastise and beat up on black men. And we're still here. We matter. And so my comment was to people, black men and boys are missing from the community, missing from the home, missing from the school, missing from the college, missing from the job, and missing from the economy. I assure you, if you were concerned about those 6 places I said that we're missing from, and you rallied behind us there, you wouldn't have to ask us to show up in the voting booth. Period. So be as concerned about us being in the home, being in the college, and being in the economy as you are about whether black men vote or not. And when that happens, when we have that type of conversation from presidents and politicos about where we are in the economy and in the home, then I assure you, you will see us show up the right way in the voting booth.
Well said there. Well said. Well, look, I want to talk about your race, your campaign. Now, I mentioned the theme, the theme of your campaign, a city that works for everyone. Can you please everybody. I'm sorry, everybody.
Everyone, no, it's everyone. That's just me. Amen. In your comment.
Well, look, I'm glad I got the Saints. I'm glad y'all still with me. That as they always say, I'm glad you're still with me. Say amen if you can. I know they'll say amen if you can. But I want you to dissect that. A city that works for everyone. If you don't mind dissecting that for our audience.
Not for a few, not for the favorite, not for the political brokers, not for the donors, not for just uptown or downtown, not just for the riverfront of the French Quarter, not just for exclusive neighborhoods, but from Monticello Street to Dewberry Island, from the lakefront to the cutoff in Sullivan. Everybody needs to think and know that it's their city. If they're paying thousands of dollars in taxes, or hundreds or millions of dollars in taxes, they deserve the same response from municipal government in terms of their service. If you call 911, then you ought to know that anything other than 10 seconds could mean life or death. If you get your street fixed and somebody comes and digs a hole in the middle of a new street, you ought to have at least just minimum 90 days to come back and fix it. Yeah. If you're paying for two times a week trash pickup, but you only get one, at least you ought to be able to count on that one while we're working to get you 2 times a week back. And so those things, to me, that your playground ought to be programmed from esports to traditional sports. That the mayor, I want to be the first mayor to have an office of education. That I know we have a school board, but no, I want to have a partnership with the superintendent and with the people in the school system. So I want to have an office of integrity and transparency to know that we're operating at the highest level and you can see everything that's going on. A city that works for everyone, that's what I envision as how we gain trust again and how we get people to start believing in their government again.
Well said there. Well said. Well, look, Councilman, we're going to take another commercial break. When we come back, I want to ask the question in regards to what separates you from the other candidates, because this race has started off with 13 candidates, it was quite large. Now I'm over here in Virginia, and I remember we had a local mayoral race that had 7, and that was a lot for us. I was counting 13. I'm like, what? They got a large list of folks who want to make a difference for the city. So, but hold that thought, y'all. We're gonna take another commercial break. Again, you're tuning into the Arrington Gavin Show. I'm here joining with New Orleans Council member Mr. Oliver Thomas with us. So, look, do not go anywhere. We'll be right back after these commercial breaks.
Let me tell you something most people get wrong about suits. A suit isn't just about you wearing it. It's how you show the world who you are. It's your handshake before you say a word, your presence when you step into any room. That's why we design statements at Dapper Luke. We don't just make suits. We'll start with the fabrics that tell your story, luxurious wools, silk, linen, and blend sourced from the finest mills in Italy, the UK, and India. Then we'll combine that with your vision, your personality, and your style. Every detail is tailored to you, from the fit to the finish. Whether for your wedding, a gala, the boardroom, we specialize in creating custom suits that are unique, just like the men who wear them. We spent years perfecting this craft, apprenticing under designers in New York and showcasing collections in New York and for Baltimore Fashion Week. None of that matters as much as seeing the look on your face when you try on your custom suit. Over 900 clients have already trusted us to deliver the best custom suits. They trust me to deliver the confidence. We proudly serve Virginia Beach and Baltimore and would be honored to bring your vision to life next. Let's create something unforgettable. Book your free consultation today at www.dapperluke.com.
Gavin Learning Institute, LLC, is a hybrid learning center that strives to educate adults and children in all fields. During the day, we offer programs that are focused on developing students from pre-K to 12th grade, which includes tutoring, homeschool co-op, an after-school program, SAT, ACT prep, and many more engaging academic programs. Our adult education programs include workforce trainings, GED prep, life coaching, various seminars, and many more. Our vision is to train and educate in a positive way that will lead to a positive change in the world, one person at a time. For more information, visit us online at JazarinLearningInstitute.com or call us at 757-208-7407.
Become a man of distinction with Rugged Evolution Beard Care. Order our scented beard oils and beard balms to help you maintain and grow the perfect beard. Order today. Try our men's care products like the full body exfoliating cleansing bars, body wash, smooth stash, and more. Log on to our website or download our app to place your orders. Rugged Evolution Beard Care. We're your luxury but affordable men's care line. And remember,
Rugged is the new smooth.
All right, my friends, welcome back to the Arrington Gavin Show. I'm your guy, Arrington Gavin. Joining me is New Orleans Council member Oliver Thomas. We're having a great conversation discussing, his reasons for running and just all good things that are coming ahead in the city of New Orleans and tackling some tough issues that a lot of residents are discussing. They want to talk about it. But before we talk more about his campaign and like how he will be tackling these issues, before we went to commercial break, I asked the question of, Councilman, what separates you from the other candidates on this? There's a large number of candidates that are running for the New Orleans mayoral seat, but what separates you from the rest of them?
First of all, I don't need any training wheels. I also have a business background. I have a business background. The 9 years that I worked in the engineering and design firm helped me understand what business wants from municipal government, especially with permitting and how we do business. I have that appreciation. I appreciated that experience from the firm I worked for before I ran again this time. I know that the law department bone is connected to the code enforcement bone, is connected to the sanitation bone, and the whole government skeleton only works when it works together. I know from the legislative branch of being on the council, holding 3 positions, that only us working together with the administrative branch, passing the policies, right, and the budgets that support critical departments, how it should work. As a council member, just think, being on the budget committee, being on the utility committee, serving a district, I bring that knowledge to the administrative office as mayor so that there isn't any guessing. I could get to most of our neighborhoods with the blindfold. I know who lives in those neighborhoods without reading the phone book. I know what the culture and the history of those communities are. I know that Uptown, at one time was Old Jefferson City, Central City was the city of Magnolia. I know in 1918, they started digging the hole in the Industrial Canal and then finished in 23, so you could have the lower Ninth Ward. I understand that New Orleans East at one point was Black Mecca, and before that, it was wildlife refuges and marshes and places where the city could grow. I know Treme, one of the oldest historic Black neighborhoods in America. The lower Ninth Ward had higher percentage of Black homeowners at one time than any other area in America. Pontchartrain Park, one of the oldest subdivisions. So I don't need to guess about our city. I don't need to guess about how it should work. And I'm willing to be the kind of mayor that invites everyone to the table so that we can make it work.
Okay. Look, y'all, I just asked for one thing, but I'm messing with you, Councilman. I'm messing with you. Councilman said, "Oh, what separates me? I got a list, boy." But no, I'm messing with you. Let's talk about some of these city issues, though. New Orleans has long struggled with violent crime. Now, what's your plan for making the neighborhoods in New Orleans safer?
Well, first of all, our kids need paths, not prisons. And tough on crime hasn't worked. We don't need to fill up the prisons again. We need to make the schools and vocational schools and that jobs, and vacancies for jobs are full. We need to make sure that Black men and boys and Black women are part of the economy. We need to make sure that Black women in the state aren't just earning 49 cents on every dollar, but we need to have a strong, focused police force that responds on time, answers the call, and works hard building cases against that small percentage of people who are trying to harm our society. But the solution to crime is building our Black middle class here. You cannot have your largest demographic floating back and forth between St. Louis and Detroit with some of the worst social science statistics, and you want to be a wholesome city. No, we got to build our middle class and entrepreneur class. We have to create more wealth. We have a multi-billion-dollar tourist economy. Then the African-American community needs to be part of that. We're the festival kings and queens of the world. We need to make sure we're making money from that. And every time events like Super Bowl in Essence come here, then local people need to participate so that they can improve themselves economically. But no, we want an active, strong police force, but we want great schools. 69% of violent juvenile offenders are functionally illiterate. We need to have paths for returning citizens. I made history this year for a charter change that's going to be on the ballot October 11th, where formerly incarcerated people, it'll be illegal to discriminate against them with municipalities for employment and housing. Wow. Once you've paid your debt to society, then you ought to be afforded the opportunity to go to work, live, take care of yourself, and take care of your family.
Wow. Okay. You mentioned earlier an education office. Now you spoke about the schooling. Can you speak a little more about that education office? Because you were discussing kind of like you were discussing the literacy is really is dropping in the city. Can you please expand on that one?
Yeah. Well, 69% of violent juvenile offenders are functionally illiterate. We have a challenge for decades, not kids dropping out of high school, but kids dropping out after the 6th grade in middle school. You can't have a safe, productive society like that. We ought to have universal pre-K for any kid 3 or 4 years old to make sure that the city is working with the school board, with the Department of Education, and with the superintendent, so that there's a place for those kids can go. I want universal accounts, man, where we're teaching our kids in high school, or at least the juniors and seniors, that they can have universal accounts where we partner with banks and financial institutions where they can have some money in the bank when they graduate or as they move up, where they're learning about investments. All these things are doable, period. I want to have our parks program from esports to traditional sports. Traditional sports help pay for my education and send me to college. But kids are into different kind of sports now. Esports, man.
That's very true.
Crafts, hobbies, dance, yoga. There are different things folk can do, and our playgrounds ought to be programmed to provide it.
That's very important, because what you're saying is making sure your community is ahead of the game and not behind, because there's a lot of cities and a lot of communities that, look, in our society, technology is continuing to get more and more advanced. Everything changes on a daily basis, and there's communities that are far behind, like just now starting this when it should have been started, say, 15, 20 years ago. So I think that's extremely important, what you mentioned as far as getting more involved with the esports and traditional sports and the whole 9 yards. Another big thing, a big issue that goes on within the city of New Orleans, infrastructure and flooding still remains a critical issue in the city of New Orleans. Now, what's your approach to improving, say, drainage and storm preparation? Preparedness, not preparation, preparedness, because I think we're coming up on the anniversary of Hurricane Katrina.
August 29th. I was the only official who was here during Katrina.
Wow.
I won the NFL Mothers Award for rescuing people. I had sores on my body for months from going in and out of the water. I have so many untold Katrina stories that many of them I tried not to deal with, but we're dealing with it now due to this 20th anniversary. Well, first of all, if you can't flush the toilets and the water can't run out, we can't live here. So we need to make sure our drainage system, much of our area here, not just New Orleans, is below sea level. So, we led the way in technology for being able to pump the water up and out. Something happened where we stopped advancing. But also, Gavin, AG, another thing happened. As I travel the world, there are several communities that adopted another way of life, dealing with the natural topography and Mother Nature. They learned to live with it and live with water. Well, what we tried to do here was concrete it, pump it up and out, and in other places in China, parts of Japan, Africa, and in the Netherlands, they didn't fight against Mother Nature. They developed a system where they could live with it. So, I think that's the future, especially because there's so much uncertainty with climate change, right? And we don't have an infinite source of water. We're threatened by saltwater intrusion. So how do we begin to live here if we don't move forward with 21st century strategies on how we live with Mother Nature instead of fighting her? We don't know what our natural water table ought to be. And as someone who has some expertise in that, I was on the National League of Cities mayoral panel talking about living with water. They asked me to be one of their speakers. What should be our natural water table? Why do we keep fighting against water when you don't know what your natural water table is? You wind up with subsidence. So there's a certain amount of water and balance that you need for it to function. And then what's the new technology? How do we run streams and use water in our canals as an economic opportunities rather than just worrying about flooding and fighting against it? I want to be that kind of mayor.
And I have a question involving New Orleans. Like you mentioned economic, but before I move forward to that, another big thing that really occurs not just in the city of New Orleans. I feel like this goes all nationwide, but affordable housing, right? That's starting to become a challenge for many residents now. As mayor, how do you tackle the affordable housing issue?
Well, one of the things I liked was that Mayor Andre Dickens, what he did in Atlanta. Affordable housing is part of Invest Atlanta. It's part of their economic development arm. And affordable housing today, AG, isn't just a single woman with the kids with the subsidy. Man, it's a young lawyer, it's a young doctor, it's a young graduate, it's a young master's graduate. It's that person looking for a job or with a small business. especially when you talk about how inner cities have been gentrified and insurance costs and rising costs now. So we got to change our mindset about what affordable housing is and just create housing. And why shouldn't we do that in New Orleans? In the early 60s, we had 627,000 people. We only have 350,000 now. So there isn't a question about room, right? We got we got room. And then the last thing is for places like Atlanta and some other cities who've been progressivists at making affordable housing part of their economic development arm, man, that's potentially a $2 billion growth opportunity and economic opportunity here. We need to be all over it.
Wow. And that's a perfect segue into the economy in New Orleans, right? New Orleans relies heavily on the tourism. You mentioned, just all events that occurs. First thing I could think of is Essence Fest. That's a very well-known event that happens in the city of New Orleans. You have the football season starting up, so you got the Saints. There's so many amazing events that happen in the city of New Orleans. Now, how would you diversify the economy, say, to create more sustainable jobs with that?
Man, first of all, shout out to our tourism economy. This little wonderful, glorious, grimy, traditional, hard knock, great Afro-Caribbean city, man, is one of the best places in the world. And, we punch above our weight per capita in terms of tourism. 300,000 people, but 20 million, 17, 18, 19 million people come to see us. But the service industry is fine, and some people do well. But we got a footprint here where we can expand that, right? There's a river runs through it, right? The mighty Mississippi that feeds the 33-state tributary system. With the widening of the Panama Canal post-COVID and how much we know about bringing a lot of business in manufacturing and storage, right, home, then we have some natural waterways, the intercoastal and the industrial. Why aren't we planning out and expanding opportunity there? We have New Orleans East, which is the area that I represent. God isn't making any new land. We got 7,000 acres of developable business park out there, two of the busiest waterways in North America. We got access by railway and interstate from Jacksonville to Santa Monica. We got 9.5 miles of waterway, 5 of those 9 miles of beachfront. So we got opportunity, and it's time that we have a mayor in the business community that think beyond the sliver by the river and expand opportunity to our footprint, and let's incentivize growth. Let's compete with Charlotte and Mobile and Nashville. Let's create opportunity on the front end, and AG, get ours on the back end.
It's interesting you bring up competing with Charlotte, because being a kid in Virginia, I'm just maybe like 5 hours, 6 hours away from Charlotte, and that's also a competitor for for the Hampton Roads, Virginia area is the Charlotte, and it's like how can we? And really, I feel like I'm skipping over because we're an hour from where I'm at. Richmond is a thriving city, but yet it's still a lot more work to do.
Right. Yeah. But what those cities have done is they've created and stabilized a productive middle class. And they've made sure that their systems haven't collapsed, that they work. And they've made efforts to meet their people where they are and make sure that the things that the people need, they can depend on. And that's a struggle, and I don't know what happened the 14 years I was out of office, but we seem to have gotten to a point here politically where nothing works for people who need it to work for them, and it might work at some point, but sometimes not when you need it, and that doesn't encourage confidence. We're losing population here in this part of Louisiana and in New Orleans. We've lost 30 or 40,000 people just in the last few years. And if you keep taking from something, you'll wind up with nothing.
Absolutely.
We can't afford to keep. Look, we want to drain the water out, not the people.
I mean, hey, I'm glad you're saying that, because folks can also, and I'm saying folks because I just I go around just poking my ear in conversations with what folks are talking about in the streets, and they feel as though there's elected officials that are, how can I put it, they're benefiting either themselves or say a small part rather than everyone. I go back to that word, everybody, right? Taking care of everybody, everyone. And it's unfortunate because, like you mentioned, the transparency, the lack of trust, that right there is was, draining people out of the area. I want to hit just, as far as in leadership, City Hall has faced, criticism for lack of transparency, as I mentioned, earlier.
Yeah.
Again, I want to go back to, how would you make government more open and accountable?
Publicly facing dashboards. If there is a project proposed, man, if there are contracts that are going to be let, you can go to a dashboard, log in, and see if it's coming to your neighborhood, if it's going out for bid, if it's something that the city is planning, if contracts are let. Like street projects have been lingering, right? Who's the contractor? Who's in charge of the contract? Who's the foreman on the job? What's the phase of the contract? How much it costs? When do we expect it to be finished? When it's 50%, when we expect it to be 70%? And when it's done, is it really going to be done that date? We want to make sure that you can look. I don't want to replace our public employees, even though I know AI and robots are coming, but at least let people be able to log on and log off with everything from the budget to streets, to sewage and water board, to NORD, to what's happening in permitting. We have the technology to do that. And I want to be the mayor that's that transparent.
And you mentioned, the usage of technology, making it an easy access for, for your residents. Now, what about, say, older residents, some folks that might not be as, computer savvy, tech savvy? Would there be an avenue for them to at least be aware or just in tune to what's happening in the city?
Man, a minimum of quarterly town hall meetings in their neighborhood and at the churches. Man, look, I got an idea that, especially coming from a family, my mother made us go to church, and then we had a desire to go to church, and then my great grandfather, Reverend Burnell Goins, making our churches, man, not just institutions of prayer, where we go on Sundays just to service and ask for forgiveness, but places where we can convene about what's going on with government, what's going on with economically. I would love to have a relationship with our churches to say, hey, look, we got some streets contracts coming up. We got some office supplies coming up. Who in your church can bid on these contracts? Who are the business people within your congregation? Or no, yeah, I'm coming to visit your church this Sunday. Let's have a little community meeting after church. Tell the neighborhood, meet me there. No, I want to use those institutions, man, at every opportunity to be able to talk to people, work with people, and come up with solutions. Look, I'm a real smart guy, but my dad used to always tell me, be smart enough to know you don't know everything. So I don't know, the people do know collectively. I'm going to need them.
I think that is so important, Councilman, because I can at least, I can't speak too hard for the city of New Orleans, but at least in in my home city, we lack that completely. We lack the communication. We lack the understanding of what's happening next, right? If you don't appear there, then you will not know anything. If you don't, there's so many communities that is, and that's not just happening, say, in my city. That's happening abroad in a lot of other cities. And so it's extremely important to bring in that, bridge that relationship back with the local churches, with the community, having an understanding of what's being a part of local events. You mentioned with the city being big in tourism. Hey, let's bring in some of these businesses. Let's see how they can also get a piece of this. That's extremely important, and that's what continues to build and grow a great city that New Orleans is, because I've been in New Orleans many of times, and y'all already winning when it comes to the food. I'll be honest right there. Y'all A+ right there. So I can't front with that. When I leave, I gotta bring sweatpants all the time. When I leave, I'm like, listen, y'all messing up my diet here, but it's so good, and the music and it's so many talented individuals in the city. When I tell you, it was just my very first experience, and this was many years back, because I'm 30 now. This was way before Katrina had hit, and it was my first interaction with street performers. I was so in awe with the talent. And I'm just like, wait, this. And I was just so annoyed, and I didn't want to leave.
That's
As
a
little kid, I'm
can.
like,
That's a can, a piece of wood in a bucket, sounding like the Boston Symphony, right? Or cool in the gang. And our food, you know, you want to break down our food? First name D, last name Licious. Delicious.
You're right on that one, my friend. You're right on that one. Lastly, I want to ask about two more questions. I'm looking at my time here, and I definitely want to put in a plug for how folks can continue to get in touch with you and all that good stuff. And if it's okay, I wouldn't mind chopping up with you just for about 60 seconds after the show. But I do want to ask, when it comes again to the vision, your vision of New Orleans, what is the primary, what is just your primary vision that you want to see? Say, once elected, what is the primary vision you want to see New Orleans?
My primary vision for a city that works for everyone is that when you call City Hall, someone answers the phone. How can I help you? You're directed to an department or agency, the correct department or agency, that if there's an issue or concern, someone's there willingly to work on you. If there's an issue in your neighborhood, you don't have to come to City Hall. You can log on to your computer if it's a street or an infrastructure issue, and you can see if and why the light is out, if a work order has been made to turn it on. A city that works for me is when you call the police department. You don't have to wait half a day or the next day. Someone is there to take your call, if nothing else, to start the process for what happened to you. A city that works for me is if you go to the permitting office to work on a permit, that you don't have to wait 5, 6, or 7 months, because that's your investment, and we're cheating ourselves out of tax dollars the longer business people have to wait. And also, I've proposed something, a provisional permit for people who've checked most of the boxes. If they have their state approval, why can't we give them a provisional permit, understanding that there are maybe 2 or 3 more boxes to be checked? Let them start making money so they can start paying local government. Potholes. We all know New Orleans is famous for potholes. And let's fill up the pothole as quick as possible, because that vibration creates other infrastructure problems and expands itself to the sidewalk and to the foundation of people's home. Let's have an office of ethics and transparency, so that government officials are trained in how to do business, who to do business with, and where to do business, and what it means in terms of the charter and following principles of ethics. And more importantly, man, let's have a mayor that motivates us to believe that we can not only be the city that delivers services, but we can be a city better than that. And we can match our culture, our tradition, and our food as a city that works for everyone. That's what it looks like for me.
Well, Councilman, again, it's been a true honor having this conversation with you. Please do not be a stranger to this show. When you were talking there, for those who are watching, I shared your website, but for those who are listening to us, Councilman, how can people stay in touch and learn more about your campaign?
And for people who are watching, guys, please get involved. If you can support my campaign or offer ideas. Like I said before, I'm smart enough to know I don't know everything. New Orleans may be a small city, but it's probably where some of your ancestors came from Congo Square to wherever you live around the country right now. So otforus.com. We would appreciate you getting involved, checking out our campaign. And also, you're part of the family, man. The diaspora in America here, man, no one appreciates that more than New Orleanians. So wherever you are in America or around the world, you got a piece of us with you, right? And we want you to know that this is your city, and we love you, and you're welcomed here anytime. Oliver Thomas, number 26 for mayor, otforus.com. You can donate, or you can reach out to me, and I'll be glad to get back to you, man. We love you. We love hosting visitors.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, Councilman, thank you so much. Like I said, I just want to chop it up with you for about 60 seconds after this show, but thank you so much for taking the time out your busy schedule. And ladies and gents, as always, I hope you enjoy yet another great conversation here on the Arrington Gavin Show. Take care. God bless. I will talk to y'all soon for an episode here on the Arrington Gavin Show. Peace.